It just occurred to me, if you're not a coaster enthusiast, which most people that visit this channel are not coaster enthusiasts, you probably have no idea what RCDB is. So I thought I would clear that up real quick. RCDB stands for Roller Coaster Database, and it is exactly what the name would suggest. It is a database that collects data about roller coasters. It's all done through a website that is rcdb.com, and recently that website got a pretty major overhaul. I've never really seen the website be updated at all during the time I've been using it, which is maybe 3 or 4 years. Really, the only changes are just new coasters being added to the website, which happens all the time. But overall, the interface has been exactly the same the last 3 or 4 years that I've used it. So this is the first time the interface has been updated in 3 or 4 years, to my knowledge, and it is a pretty major update. It's overhauled several different things, which is really, really awesome. So I just wanted to show you guys real quick, since no one's talking about this. I just wanted to have us all take a look and see what exactly has changed. I'll be first showing you all of the new features and the interface changes on my iPhone 6, because this update is primarily focused on mobile devices, particularly smaller cell phones, so it makes sense to show you it running on one of those devices. Then I'll take you through a look at my iPad mini 4, how it runs on that, and my 2019 MacBook Pro, so we can see how the differences in the interface between the phone, tablet, and desktop. So first thing you're probably going to immediately notice when you go to this website after they updated it is the top bar, the menu bar at the top. It's now not quite as in your face of a shade of orange. It's a bit of a lighter shade of orange, and as you can see, if you scroll, it's actually translucent, so the text will actually flow behind the header there, and also all the graphics on the actual header have been adjusted as well, so they've been redone a little bit, so it just looks a little bit more modern, if you will. On the right side, you'll see the old settings menu that didn't really have anything in it is replaced with this profile thing. There's a sign-on feature with a username and password, but for some reason that doesn't appear to be working quite yet, so maybe that's something coming in the future. I'm not sure exactly what you would do with it anyway. And at the bottom, you get 3 options, which is one, you can change the language, it's set on English by default. You can enable the metric system if you'd like, since all the measurements are in the traditional English system by standard. And then there's also, this is brand new, the dark mode toggle. So you can toggle that on, and now you can see the interface is now in this nice dark mode, which is really, really cool. It's not really a black in the background, it's more of a kind of navy blue-ish color, but it's still a dark mode. The whole world is moving toward dark mode interfaces on tech, so it's just great that we have that feature in RCDB even. The menu bar kind of still works the same, but instead of coming out from the left-hand side and only covering about half the screen, it actually covers the entire screen now, because like I said, the website's just better optimized for mobile devices now, and this is kind of what other mobile websites have been going for, this kind of design. Overall, you can see here all of the options are still the same as they were before, but instead of being a really weird, old, outdated looking text font on a white-ish background, you now have the darker background. It'll still be white if you have the light mode on or the dark mode off, but overall just the design of how it's laid out is much more modern, and the text, the font is nicer and everything. So one of the biggest updates in terms of functionality this time around that I'm really, really excited about is in the search feature. So you click a search and the button in the search bar expands across the screen as it did before. Might I also note that it doesn't cover the entire menu bar as it did before. Actually, it leaves the menu on the left side and the profile thing on the right side on the menu bar, which I think overall just looks nicer. But that's not the big update I was talking about. Before, you would just type in what you wanted to search and hit go, and it would just load up results. But this time it actually accurately predicts the rides as you're typing. Coasters, I'm sorry. If it's not a coaster, it's not in the database. But basically, I can just start typing something like, and it'll just start predicting results based on what I'm typing, which is just a lot faster than, because trying to type the entire thing out and then press enter, because you don't really know how many results are going to come up for a certain keyword, so I might not be able to just click go on Lightning and see everything. So having the predictive type is nice, so as I'm typing I can see how much I need to type in to actually get the result, and then I can just click it right from that menu bar there and jump right in. And it's really nice because it also tells you the ride name, and it'll tell you the location as well right there, so you can kind of see, get an idea of what you're looking at. But if you want to, you can still type in the full word and press enter and get to the search page, which, by the way, as the rest of the interface is, the fonts are updated here, so it just looks nicer, more modern. I'm just going to keep repeating that all the way through here. Nicer, more modern. That's basically what they've done with the font adjustments and stuff. But yeah, that search feature is really, really awesome to just be able to start typing and just choose something out of that list right away without having to actually search. That's just been so much easier the last day or two trying to look things up in the database. So the RCDB logo in the center takes you home or just scrolls through other random roller coasters as it did before, but now it's actually centered. Before it was a little slided off to the left. So that's a nice touch. It makes a lot more sense on a mobile device here for that to be centered. And then of course you have the location feature, which uses your current location to find parks around you. But what's weird about it is even though they've kind of updated the graphic of the location, just like they have the other graphics on the top menu bar, when you click on that, it actually sends you back into the old interface. So they haven't actually fleshed out this part. This is the only part of the interface I've found so far where it hasn't actually yet been fleshed out. So that's unfortunate. But if you were wondering, if you hadn't seen it before, this is what it used to look like with the menu bar on the top and such. So you can see what I mean by they've really made it seem a lot more modern. They've really done interface improvements. But yeah, I have no idea why this hasn't been updated quite yet. Functionally, the homepage is exactly the same. It still shows you a random roller coaster, just whatever, usually something stupid that you've never heard of before. The latest additions of new rides that have been added to the database, whether those are new rides opening soon or rides that have existed just in obscure places, so they haven't been recorded quite yet. And then at the bottom are new videos that have been added to the database. All of those are taken from YouTube, but they basically go through here and assign YouTube videos to coasters, so you know what coaster it is. I mean, you could probably figure that out on your own, but it is nice to go in the database and just select a list of videos for a particular coaster. If we go to an individual ride page here, you can see some of the updates that have been made just graphically to the interface. So all the headings now, the first letter is capitalized and bolded a little bit. So overall, just gives it a little bit more aesthetic, so it actually feels like a unique interface instead of something you just find on a 1990s website. Really, nothing has functionally changed on the layout of the actual ride statistics pages, but there are two improvements that have been made. One is with the pictures. If you click on them to pull them up full screen, it won't let you zoom. Before, if you tried to zoom, it would just glitch out the web page really bad, but now it just straight up doesn't let you zoom, which is, I guess, better than letting you kind of zoom and then glitching out the whole web page and forcing you to refresh. So that's nice. It just helps it feel a little bit more polished. Other than that, nothing's really changed in the photos. One of the other major changes was under videos. So they've completely redone the videos interface as well to just make it look nicer. So you can still sort by publish, views, and ratings, just like you could before, but it's all been updated with a new look of the interface, so it looks nicer, and your video thumbnails here are much, much bigger than they were before. Before, they were so tiny you could hardly see them, and the video titles and who published them and such took up more space than the thumbnails actually did, but they've redone this whole thing, so it just makes a lot more sense and actually looks like you're scrolling through YouTube videos instead of just a list of metadata. Another slight improvement they've made on the park pages is here we are on Cedar Point. This is really useful for a park with a lot of coasters. That's why I'm on Cedar Point's page, but Six Flags Magic Mountain, parks like that have a ton of coasters. You didn't used to be able to do this right from the page, but if I go to where it shows all the operating roller coasters and I click where it says name, then you can see it'll actually switch the order to reverse order. Before, it just did it in alphabetical order. Now we're in reverse alphabetical order. I can switch the type, so I can show wooden coasters first and then steel, rather than steel first then wood. And then I can click design to show different designs first, so inverted first, wing first, etc., etc. And we can do the scale first, so to show the more extreme rides on top or the thrill rides on top, and kitty rides in the middle, I guess. I don't exactly know how they go about this. And then on opened, you can click that and sort it by the most recent rides on top that opened at the park, or the oldest rides at the park on top. So that's really, really useful to be able to sort through coasters, especially at a park that has a lot of coasters like Cedar Point. It's really nice to just sorry. It's really nice to just be able to sort through your rides right here. It makes it much easier to actually see everything a park has to offer with the specific data you want to see about the rides. This may not necessarily be new. This may be a feature that's been here before that I just missed, and I think it likely is, but they actually have parks geocoded if you go to the world view under the menu bar. And so here in Tennessee, you can see red dots representing parks that are no longer operating, green dots representing currently operating parks, which, like, all of them are concentrated right here. That's where Pigeon Forge and Sevierville, Gatlinburg, that area. If you've been to Tennessee or live in Tennessee, you know that's where they are. And orange dots, or yellow dots, you can just hardly see next to that red dot there. Those represent parks that are currently still standing and could resume operation at some point, but are technically temporarily closed for the moment being. So that's just neat. And you can also show this data for individual countries instead of individual states. It just does states for the United States because there are so many states. It'd be ridiculous to geocode all of the parks in the U.S. on a map that small. So here is Japan here, and you can see all the parks coded onto the map. And you can click on individual sections, provinces of Japan. I don't know what they officially call them, to pull up them individually as well, so that's nice. For some reason, there's not a whole map of America anywhere. I guess they just don't like us, even though this guy is most likely American. So now we've got RCDB pulled up on my iPad mini 4 here to get you an idea of how this looks on a tablet, because the main focus of this interface update was improving support for mobile devices, particularly smaller devices like cell phones, but also iPads and tablets as well. So we'll see how exactly this works formatted on this tablet here. This should be the same kind of thing you should expect to see on a larger tablet, even though this is an iPad mini, because it has to do with the aspect ratio of the screen more than it does the actual screen size. So let's go ahead and take a look. You can see that the random roller coaster stats are laid out to the right side of the picture rather than under the picture, because there's more space on the screen to work with, so we can just move that data over. And same with things like the latest additions, just there doesn't have to be as many lines of text because it just stretches it all out, which is kind of exactly what you would expect it to do given more space. What's more interesting is the actual changes to the layout when it's in landscape, like moving the random roller coaster stats to the right side of that picture. And then something else is on the latest videos, and this has been a thing before, but I'm just pointing it out. You get some more details you don't get on a cell phone. So you can see underneath the actual name of the coaster and the park and its location. On a phone, it just gives you the park location, ride, and the name of the creator that placed the video up on YouTube, but you actually get the title of the video on a tablet. So you can see that's what's that second line down. On the first one, it just says Viking roller coaster including POV, Energylandia theme park, Poland. So that's the title of the video on YouTube as it's uploaded on YouTube, and that's not something you get on the phone, so that's some extra information you get since you're using a tablet. Oh, while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and turn on that dark mode. Yeah, there we go. So overall, the menu bar on the top has just been stretched out, which is fine. As you can see though, if you drop down the menu on the left side, you can see it recognizes we're using a tablet, so it just drops down a much smaller, but still plenty sufficient for a display this size menu bar, which is nice because it doesn't take up the entire screen, and it really doesn't have to in order to look like this. So we can continue actually scrolling and using the website while the menu bar's out, which is very cool. And same thing with that profile bar. Even though we don't know what the profile is, it just drops down on the right side there instead of taking up the entire screen, because it recognizes we're using a tablet. The screen's bigger. We don't have to use the entire screen in order to be comfortable displaying this information. Okay, so as you can see with the search functionality, The search bar does not come out to cover the entire top of the screen because that would just be absolutely obnoxious. They actually paid attention to design aesthetics, so it only extends about as far as looks nice to the human eye. And so as I start typing something in to the screen here, you will see as the results pop down just as they do on the phone. Instead of taking up the whole screen, again, they just take up as much as they need to be displayed comfortably on the tablet screen, which still allows the remainder of the content to be displayed in the background, which overall just lends itself to a really nice overall interface, especially on a tablet. It's one of the reasons I love using tablets instead of just computers and phones all the time. No huge notable interface differences between a phone and a tablet here. What was already present was just the fact that the ride data, where it says Fury 325, instead of being displayed under the picture like it would have to be on a phone for everything to line up right, we have more space on a tablet horizontally so we can display it to the right of the photo, which it does do, but other than that, there's just not much different. If you click on videos, you'll see that the videos come up in a small window rather than taking up the entire screen, because again, we have a full tablet screen to work with, so we can display these videos, thumbnails, and everything comfortably right here and sort them and everything without having to take up the entire screen, which just makes it look a lot nicer. Oh, and I just have to mention, looking at these coaster photographs on a tablet is absolutely awesome on the giant tablet screen, even though you literally can't zoom. On an individual page on the tablet, you will notice you don't have to scroll side to side to get all of the data that it was going to display. And another nice touch is that you actually get arrows on each category, so when you click to sort, you can see what it's actually being sorted by. The white arrow represents what's currently being sorted. So here I can go and do the scale, so it's up first, so extreme at the top. We can go down at the bottom, same with opening date and stuff like that. So that just wasn't there on the phone for some reason, but it is on a tablet, which is just really, really nice, I guess. I'm not really sure why that's an interface difference, but it is. Alright, so here we are on the desktop version, and as you can see, by default, for some reason, both sides have big white pillars that just feels like a lot of kind of pointlessly wasted space. But if we click on the options, there's one option here that was not available on any other device, and that's called Pillar Box, and that's enabled by default. When you disable that, then the website stretches out to touch both corners of the screen. I don't know why that's not the way it is by default. That just makes a lot more sense to me, but whatever works. The unfortunate part is that is literally the only desktop exclusive feature that you're going to find here. Everything else, it is literally just the tablet version of the website. It's unfortunate because if we go into location here, this is our sneak peek to see what it looked like before. You can see before we actually had a menu bar permanently on the side on the desktop version. But unfortunately, again, we seem to have lost all of the desktop exclusive features. It is basically just the tablet version of the website now, just with the option to enable or disable the big white pillars on the side. So again, very unfortunate that in the quest for mobile, we've kind of lost any kind of unique desktop features like having a permanent sidebar and such. But it's okay because most of the time you're on RCDB, you're probably on your phone or tablet anyway. I don't know many people that get their computer out just to go to this website to look up a quick stat or two. Whether you're a coaster enthusiast or not, a previous user of RCDB or not, what do you think about some of the new interface changes? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Do you like the quest for mobile? Or do you think it's unfortunate we've lost some of the desktop exclusive features? What do you think? I don't care. I like to read and respond to your comments, so that's all I really have to say after any video now, is just what do you think? I love to read those, so hopefully I'll see you guys in another video pretty soon.